Hello and welcome. 6:36 a.m. says the clock on this computer, and it is, oh yes, it is Saturday, the 8th of March, 2025, and it feels like Friday because it's been a busy week for me. I wonder what this week was like for you before getting distracted by so many incoming impulses. I wanted to read something to you that I wrote as a question to a friend, not a very physically close friend, but spiritually aligned, and I did not send it as but I wish I could. But instead of doing that, because I may be overstepping, and this what I'm going to share with you is linked to two YTs, one by Molly and one by Patricia, and I will link them in the description. Out of the moment, and I wrote this at 6:22 a.m., or at least then I sent it to myself instead. So I have a question, though, and it is a fundamental one that has not only to do with me. I feel it is related to the old paradigm in brackets and the Kali Yuga. So the old paradigm going and many ancestral patterns in the elementals as well as in the DNA. More that what we picked up here than that what we brought with us. Let me read this again. I have a question, and I feel it is related to the old paradigm that is going, and many ancestral patterns that are in the elementals as well as in the DNA. More from that what we picked up here than that what we brought with us. So now comes how to forgive situations that occur in daily 3D life. And this is really to do with the Virgo lunar eclipse and the full moon. With the stellium in Pisces, with Sun, Saturn, Neptune, and Virgo qualities with the South Node and Pisces qualities in the North Node. So let me read this again because it's just too much in one sentence. How to forgive situations that occur in daily life. Seen from the 14th March lunar eclipse and full moon, where we have Sun, Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node in Pisces, and the Moon and the South Node in Virgo. How do we define hierarchy? What is meant is the integration of the spiritual and emotional being. This refers to New Earth and is represented by the North Node and that stellium in Pisces, with the practical body and mental of 3D life that is represented to the Moon and the South Node in Virgo, and become an integrated multi-D being that absolutely is able to love oneself and as such forgive ourselves for all the passages we had to live through which did not nurture our small self and big self being fully on this planet. With hierarchy, I meant the form of, how can I define the more important ones? If I'm looking at my life without splitting it apart, but I need to describe it. So what is happening? It's not the only thing happening, but what was the focus on this week, on these daily tasks having to do with the system that set this up. Yeah, there are things we need to do. And there are things, when I say they are not working, is because they are not in alignment with my multidimensional eternity being, that I am beyond that daily life. And with hierarchy, I meant if the moon resembles our feelings, but it is in Virgo, the practical, mental, how do I get this done? And then go into the emotional and the body, and that's the Pisces, which is a new energy, because Neptune is moving out, but there is this strong conjunction with the Sun, to the self being next to Saturn, the structure. next to the North Node, the future. And Mercury, that is in Aries, about the self, but is moving retrograde. So you could take it one step more, the communications mentally, but also neurologically. But what is more important, and to me it seems in terms of hierarchy, you could say that the stellium and Pisces in the spiritual, in the subconscious or unconscious, in the eternity, in this vast ocean of being that we are. This is what I mean. So what planet, what symbolism? So if you say the personal planets of the sun and the moon, so the self and the feelings value more than maybe yeah, it's not necessarily to do with giving an answer. So I'm just going to repeat the question. How do we define hierarchy in terms of the integration of the spiritual emotional being, which I interpret with New Earth, the new way of being, with the practical body mental of 3D life, and become an integrated, multi-dimensional being that absolutely is able to love oneself and through this forgive all of ourselves for all the situation or the passages of this life we had to live through, right? Where we try to be ourselves and we help that, but it did not nurture our small self and our big self being fully on this planet. It did not nurture it because the energy wasn't there, but we were there. So with this is meant in the patriarchal, you try to say something, you try to be yourself, and nowhere in your life you were heard or could be that. So you couldn't integrate that, or you integrated it with you being on your own. So next passage. Things are not working in brackets on planet and in personal life as envisaged. The hope of life energy that carries one through the lows of life. With this I mean the spark that, we went about growing up, growing strong, growing old. No, we don't grow old, we grow strong. So we went through this life not being seen And it's that flame that carried us through, even though we were not acknowledged by the outside world. So here I would stop asking the question. So this would be enough of a question. So it is about forgiveness for not having achieved a fulfilling life, and feeling satisfied because it was fulfilling, and even though there were obstacles, we managed it. Instead, it feels as if everything is wiped out that we ever did, really. So, the background. Seeing all this from a deep ancestral, aka more than 7 generations ago, or parallel, how it touches all of life, nature and animals included, and feeling so strongly my indigenous heart and love for this planet and all of its true genesis. The reason it was created at all, and for so long not able to live it. And connected to my family, especially those that came before me, particularly my mum that I love dearly, who was born in 41. And according to her and all of her generation, saying they had a good childhood. So in 1941, the feeling was a winning feeling. Yet, in 42, the first nuclear tests was done. Plus, there was lots of genocide on Earth, particularly of human beings, but really it spanned a lot more. Not to speak of all that which had to go, aka leave the planet, that was part of that intentional destruction, aka the nature, animals, and innocent beings. With innocent beings, I mean those that were not involved in this conflict. Yeah, those babies which were born, and also really those that were elders and were not really, yeah, all those that were family members, but they were not in any way active. They were more, yeah, I would say victims of the 3D life that went on. So then I refer to these two presentations. So I'm seeing what Molly shares from a self-acceptance theme. what have we as a human loving group tried to be? The heart and meaning of life. And we feel we could not until today make it. Cataclysms of the past come up. You know, all the planets and worlds, all the attempts for peace and finding solution other than conflict that we have been involved in other dimensions, other life. And listening to Pat, who commented on the sun in Germany's chart, not sure which one she uses, and her twinkle in the eye kind of Peter Pan pointing to Uranus and an unexpected changes or disruptions, also taking the USA governance represented by Trump and Musk and their lives. Blah blah. It feels to my beingness that we established love and understanding all through our earth walk, but till today were not heard, or maybe heard but not listened to. Here I feel the grandmother's energy so strongly. It feels as if all grandmothers, you know, really physical ones, but all grandmothers that were in that position of being elders and having children and grandchildren, and I also mean grandmothers who maybe didn't have their own children, but nevertheless they were involved in the community. So seeing it as an archetype. So if you're an elder and if you're a grandmother, even if you haven't got your own kids, you still have compassion and empathy for others, and you were a kid yourself. You had a grandmother. So and I feel that, and it can be grandparents that took on the grandmothering role. I mean it as an archetype. So it feels that all grandmothers have spoken up all their lives to keep peace. Yet the path Earth had to take was through the darkness, aka the Kali Yuga. It feels like a long walk over generations through a deep tunnel, and often not knowing which path to take or which turn led to the light. Like if we got lost in a labyrinth of the unseen or the subconscious, which is represented through Pisces. No, so now we are seeing the end of the tunnel. The light is emerging. It's like you can see, you don't see the entry or the exit of that tunnel. But you see the light and you're going around the corner, and in a moment you will see the exit. So the light is emerging. Our life force is connecting to the light of the new dawn, and we are about to step onto this new earth. But how do we forgive all the wrong turns? Aka, how can I make peace with the current life situation that I do not like? Have tried all to change it, and there is currently no solution Neither is there understanding from close family or from anyone. I mean, I can't even explain my world to them as our perceptions. Are so, yeah, we may meet, but it's still like two trains going in different directions. So it is only source, aka the light of the soul, where it touches the creation of that, what the grandmothers spoke to the wind for us to pick up and heal our heart so we can emit that forgiveness. So all can be healed via this forgiving, not forgetting all the acts against life's creation. What energy allowed the darkest of action to be manifested here? How did our ancestors cope with it? And how can we heal this rift in us as we carry the cellular energy? And also, it is all around us, yeah, in everything. So, what I am meaning, and I'm going to switch this off. What I'm meaning is what I am meaning is oof, what I am trying to say is that everything, that of 3D life represented to Virgo and that of the subconscious or unconscious represented by Pisces. And walking through this lunar full moon eclipse, and the moon being in Virgo, and the sun being in Pisces. And and it's the last decan, so 20 to 30, somewhere around 23, 24 degrees. How do we unite it in us and thus forgiving everything? And yeah, now I've got my thought back. So what is not happening in not working on the 3D life is not working because the forgiveness and the love for the self hasn't happened yet. So the integration, the embodiment, you can say we could accept it and then we could forgive it, meaning accepting that Earth lived through this, the ancestors lived through this, the grandmothers tried to warn everyone. They weren't heard, and so the whole of creation is walked through this dark tunnel labyrinth, not knowing where to go and taking wrong turns. And, some people didn't make it because it was too much walking in the dark, dealing with life without being nurtured. And now we see the light, and so we're able to have enough life energy, enough potential to forgive ourselves and love ourselves, because we did try the whole time, and we obviously lived the life, and we were being us. And only now the two comes together, and through the forgiveness and the healing, we heal that what happened to the ancestors, what happened to the elementals, and it happened to those people. And the moment this happens, that we can accept ourselves and love ourselves and heal ourselves, a 3D life is healed too. And so we can integrate the new earth that we are walking on now into our daily life, and take all the parts from the past, all that experience, all that learning, and carry it through into the now. And so in the realization, the healing happens. I hope I could convey that. This is Blue for Blue Wind.org.